Good evening once again. It's Monday night, it's 8 p.m. and it's time for the Monday Review Show. For those of you who are regular watchers, thank you very much and welcome. For those of you joining for the first time, well, you're also welcome. If you'd like to make comments, please do so. There's a little thing down there on the bottom right-hand side of your screen where you can make a comment or you can ask a question. Delighted to be joined once again by my regular guest, former Premier League referee, former FIFA referee, former head of the PGMOL, which is the Professional Games Match Officials Limited, and they're the people who effectively are in charge of all referee appointments in the Premier League and in the Championship. Keith Hackett, thanks very much, and thanks for joining me again.
Thanks.
I just want to start on a sad note, as it were. A man whom I would have been around my era and joined refereeing and the Premier League here in Ireland around the mid-70s or so, has just passed away. Absolute epitome of the quintessential, effectively, gentleman. A man who never had a bad word to say about anybody, never raised his voice, never saw him in a fight or an argument. Absolute gentleman. Michael Caulfield, who passed away this morning. And deepest sympathies to him and his family, to his family and to his friends. Rest in peace, Mick. You're a great guy.
Yeah.
So, Keith, it's only not that long ago that Wolverhampton Wanderers brought a suggestion, an application, whatever, to have VAR scrapped. And when it went to a vote of the 20 Premier League clubs, they were the only ones in favour and the other 19 were against it. Now, there's been so much talk about it, and we're going to talk about some of the incidents that happened just recently. But VAR in general, and I'd love to hear your opinion out there when you're watching, please do send us your opinion. Do you think it'll ever be scrapped? Is it likely to be scrapped? Was it a bad idea? Could it be tweaked in some way to make it more, I don't know, efficient? Or is it just the people who are operating it are just not up to scratch?
I start by repeating something I've said in the past, and that is that when we look at the elite level referees at the highest level, their decisions are scrutinised by, in the Premier League, a minimum of 22 cameras. So those 22 cameras afford the person at home a view that may not be afforded to the referee or even his colleagues on the line. So first of all, I think that, when I started the PGMOL, we worked with assistant referees and flags, and we had to peer across to pick up a piece of cloth, yellow or red, and sometimes in the summer months against people wearing similar clothing of similar colours, picking that piece of flag out. At that point, I went to watch a rugby match at Twickenham. I listened in to the match officials that particular day. And on the Monday following, I went to the Premier League and said, we need communication kits. And I contacted RefLink, and I spoke with a French company called Adinus that particular Tuesday. So on the Tuesday, the following day, I was having conversations, and within the week, we'd placed the orders for the equipment. And the reason I'm telling this story is because when we introduced it, we first of all thought, well, the only way that we want an assistant referee to communicate to the referee is by a push button. And when he takes it off, it stops. After week one, we found that assistant referees were struggling to find a button, which was hidden behind a shirt. So we went to open mic. In week 3, 4, we had some confusion because referees were finding it difficult with assistants coming in far too often. 2 of them at once, and including the 4th official. So the point that I'm making is we laid down a very clear protocol of conversation. When we go to VAR, it's giving the opportunity of a referee or his colleague to have another look, which is exactly what the man does on television, commentating. He can have another look. And it's often that second look that affords you that viewing angle to get the right decision. That's what VAR should be doing. Now, what have we got? We've got indiscipline. We've got a relationship between VAR and referee not right. We've got confusion in discussion, not right. And we go to offside decisions and they're taking far too long and losing credibility. This weekend, as in previous weekends, when I see the brutality of rugby and the wonderful officiating, because 1, the credibility is I can listen into these guys. Their communication is with great clarity. It's without threat in many instances. Dealing with guys who might in certain areas want to cheat, but within the discipline of the game, that seemed to be unacceptable. So now when we look at that referee in rugby having a controversial incident or wanting to confirm a try, out they march into the middle of the field. There's the big screen. The referee remains in control. And he asks, is there any reason why I shouldn't award a try? He can call for the speed of the video clip. It can call for the still. And we can hear the discussion. And of course, what it does, it gives clarity. Not every fan agrees with the decision outcome, but he's explained the process. We see it. It's transparent totally. When we get to football, Premier League or the FA Cup, I watched Manchester City versus Chelsea. I don't get to many Premier League games now. So I'm in the stadium watching the game. And when I came home and watched the replay of that game, there were 1 or 2 things that I wanted to look at. I've already said on this program that I thought John Brooks, the referee, had a very good game, apart from managing time wasting. But when I watched that game, there were 2 instances where VAR and the referee had a discussion, and I certainly wasn't aware of that in the stadium at all. There was nothing on the big screen saying they're analysing a VAR or a violent conduct offence or whatever. So when we come to this weekend, the one thing it's highlighted for me, and I'm sorry to go on, the one thing it's highlighted is it has VAR created in our referees an over-reliance of the system that is not being used correctly. And it could be, 1, used more efficiently. It can have a better operation if they adopt the big screen and the transparency in discussion. But then we get back to what I have said before, and I've written on many occasions. VAR in the Premier League has created lazy officiating.
100%.
And as a result, there's an over-reliance on VAR. At times, I would like the referee, if the VAR whispers down his ear, I want you to have a look at something. I want the referee to say, get lost. I'm happy with what I've seen. Now, if we take not only lazy referee, I wrote this earlier in the week. When I was the boss of the PGMOL, I was fortunate because I got some really good referees. They were all different personalities, but I didn't want to suppress that personality. If they didn't agree with me, then fine. That was part of the process. We had a debate. It was my job to try and persuade them on certain aspects. We had, I think, up to 10 referees that were very, very capable, and I would say world class. We had a number of wonderful assistant referees. Dave Babsky, Glenn Turner, Darren Canu's still on the list.
Yeah, I saw him the other day, yeah.
Philip Sharp, who ran the line in the World Cup for Pierluigi Collina. These are guys that I analysed their performances regularly. Their concentration levels were absolutely superb. Their decision-making, much better than mine. I mean, absolutely on the button. So this weekend, when you see a goal scored by Manchester United, which is clearly offside, with an assistant who's made an inaccurate judgment, what are we going to learn from that? Well, the first thing is that from a technical point of view, VAR wasn't in operation. We also know that VAR on offsides take too long. And I know that they're still at the experimental stage because they're not taking the Hawkeye system. They've gone to Genius Sports, who are developing with Apple cameras and hopefully are chipping the ball with Nike, a similar system, perhaps even better, and the use of AI. So I think the real debate is that we've seen this weekend where technology is not in use and where two major decisions were wrong. That one, Manchester United, clearly offside. I think everybody understands that. Not awarded. An error by the referee, the assistant referee. Look, we're human. We do make errors. We don't go out to it. And then, of course, the other incident where we don't have goal line technology, which is something else that I introduced, which gives you a goal as is over the line. And I can't understand why that's not in operation.
Yeah. No, look, it's not our position here, nor would we ever try and hang somebody out to dry, because we've been there. We know what it's like. We've run the line. We've been in the middle. So we understand. But if it was a toenail, I could understand. But in old money, he was at least a foot or 15 inches. Maybe a little bit more offside. And not only Harry Maguire himself. Now, there was another player who was at least a meter or more offside. But there were three guys in line with Harry Maguire, three Man United attackers, and they were clearly offside. And the assistant wasn't that far. I have to put it this way, and because I'd be getting phone calls and emails and text messages. So I said I'll bring it up to explain exactly the situation. But because I was being asked, how come the assistant could not have seen that? And, surely when in doubt, err on the side of caution. But he didn't. And that will leave him open to all kinds of accusations and conspiracy theorists. He was a Man United fan. And
I don't go with I don't go with any of those integrity issues here. This is a genuine mistake by an assistant referee. And let us think about the game. It's in the closing stages of added time. Is that assistant referee fatiguing? Has he had a loss of concentration? You know, there's no one blocking his view, and he's made a judgment and got it wrong. And this is why I'm supportive of technology in order to assist in that situation, because you know that when you're running the line, you have to be in line with the second rearmost defender.
Yeah,
and you've got to be in the right position to make the right judgment. And I think that it's easy to get caught out, but you're right. I use a terminology, safe refereeing. There are times, for example, this weekend in one game there was a foul on the halfway line in the build-up. It was a clear foul. A defending player was fouled by an attacker. The referee allowed play to continue. He was wrong to do that, and a goal resulted. And I would suggest here, again, that had VAR been in operation, they would have gone back and that goal would have been ruled out. I'm pretty certain of that, because it was a clear foul. You know, there were also, let's say, some really good decisions without VAR to put a balance into the debate. We saw Harvey Elliott of Liverpool with his hand raised above his head when the ball struck. Again, when we look at the law, we look at the silhouette of a player, and did his arm position make his silhouette bigger? And the answer was yes. It's
Absolutely.
above his head.
Absolutely.
I don't expect him to have it down by his side, but it's above his head. He's making himself bigger. It's a penalty kick. So there's no question about that. Chelsea, I think Brighton, there was a player who leaned to his right, Mitoma, leaned to his right, extended his arm out, the ball struck. He then went to a colleague who went on to score. And I have to tell you, that was handball and not given. So these things happen in the game of football. I think what is important is that the match officials themselves analyse their own performance, review these decisions, and say, how can I avoid that error in the future? And quite often, it's about position. It's about position, and it's about teamwork. Because one of the things at the very highest level of the game, and dare I say further down the pyramid, is a very good working relationship that you need to develop with your assistants and fourth official. It's a team. And I think that the fact that the VAR operator in the VAR process is at Stockley Park in an ivory tower is completely adrift from the atmosphere and the game that's taking place. I would prefer the VAR operator being in the stand, just like the TMO is, and making his judgment through the technical equipment, but being able to get a feel, and then post-match to have a review of performance. So I think there's a lot of work to be done.
In rugby, where does the TMO sit? Do you know?
Well, I think he's in the stadium.
Yeah, so he's in the stadium. Or he could be in the outside broadcast van.
Well, he could be in the broadcast van.
Vicinity of the stadium.
The reason I like either of those ideas is to understand the atmosphere, the pre-match build-up, the teamwork. You know, I used to say to my guys, look, we're part of a team, and let us work as a team, develop as a team, communicate as a team. And I think that's so important that at at the game. I do a presentation which shows that, not surprisingly, that in a 4x400 meter relay in the Olympics, or a 4x100, that's much quicker than a 400 meter run. So you can have Johnson in the past doing his 400 meters and beating a world record, but the 4x100 is quicker. And that's teamwork.
Indeed, yeah. I still cannot get my head around why the football authorities don't appear to want to learn something from rugby, not only in decision making and so on, but in discipline as well. You see big guys who are maybe 20 stone weight, 6 foot, 11, whatever, massive guys, and you get a little referee who's about 5'10", thin as a lat, and he sticks up a red card and the guy just walks off meekly. Where in our sport, it's gotten so bad now that I honestly feel the referees are scared to punish these high-profile players because of the repercussions, not only from the player, but from his manager and from the fans and maybe even the media. And I think the referees have gone weak. They need to stand up and be counted, make their decisions. They may get it wrong. Sometimes they will. Most times they get it right, but make a decision. And another thing that really annoys me, Keith, is when a player goes down injured, the referee's going over to the player, almost like his father, saying, "Okay, son," tapping him.
Well,
make a decision. My goodness, you're there to be seen, to be neutral, and not siding with one or the other. I know in South Africa, where I refereed, and I think you did a few games as well, if you were seen to be siding, and that would be declared as siding with one team or the other by going over and asking him how he is and tapping him on the head, "Are you all right, son?" Look, see, and then next time they'll score from a dodgy position. "Oh, well, he was siding with them."
I think one of the interesting points coming up this weekend from some of the games, and you're absolutely spot on, is that we had a penalty kick given for a holding offence, and everybody was shocked. So there we are. Over the weekend, we've had this penalty awarded for a very light pull, and then in the same period, we had a player wrap completely round his opponent and brings him to the ground, and no penalty kick awarded. And this is when the leadership and direction of the elite referees it has to be at the same level as somebody like Jurgen Klopp or Guardiola, whoever. That the guy who's leading the referees has to lay down the framework of law application and interpretation. What are the expectations in this scenario? Are we all agreed this is handball? Are we all agreed that, guys, we're looking like idiots here because the players are chasing us down and they're surrounding us with everything? And actually, I'd be saying to them, why, when we're analysing a VAR incident, are you having a conversation with everybody? Why are you accepting that an ankle injury requires the game to be stopped immediately and not at the next stoppage? Why are you allowing the trainer to come on and clearly use it for tactical reasons and not to actually attend to a player who's feigning an injury? It's the level of cheating that's going on at the moment. The average spectator, they must think's daft because they're all seeing it, I see it on social media. It's happening to them and they moan, or it's their team and they're doing it. They don't moan so much. And I think the authorities are allowing a drift and a lack and an authority drift in the match officials. I don't expect every referee to get, manage effectively, but manage.
And you know what else? What I also saw recently, Keith, was where a player was tackled along the touchline and went off the field of play, and the referee stopped play and didn't continue until the player was treated and came back on again.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, it's total nonsense. Total nonsense.
I mean, what we're seeing is, we're seeing this. Sadly, seeing this cheating, if you like, and there's another aspect that worries me, and that is, and I introduced it, so I might be the guy that's at fault. I just worry a little bit about the relationship between the captain and the referee. And, in recent weeks, I just like people to keep an eye on Virgil van Dijk and his behaviour. Because I'm telling you, in recent weeks, he should have had a red and a yellow card on more than one occasion, and he's come out with neither. And is that the relationship between the referee and the captain? Or is that just weak refereeing? Or I'm trying to be over friendly? Or it's the captain of, I can remember, I think I was 7 minutes into my game at Anfield. On the very first occasion I refereed at Anfield, 7 minutes in, the captain of Liverpool was unhappy with the decision. I told him to move away and get on with the game. He still wanted to play. He finished up with a yellow card. And I can tell you that the respect that I got from the remaining players that day and after was terrific. Because they were, don't mess with this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of players are like that, Keith. They respect authority and strength. Maybe they're the wrong words, but they respect it because they know you're going to judge them fairly and equally and being totally unbiased. But being over friendly, I don't know why referees, and I notice it with the assistant referees as well at a substitution. They're coming over and they're speaking to the players. Why do they feel that need to speak to the players who are just about to come on? Those guys are not interested in us. They're interested in the guy coming off and them going on and see what position. Why do they, not me, I would never do that. Why do they feel that necessity to communicate and to be friendly with players coming on? What's that all about, for goodness sake? You're in the middle. You're going to make decisions that's going to go against them, perhaps. Why are you trying to be over friendly with them?
I don't know. I mean, one thing, because, to put some balance into the show, I watched again this young referee, Sam Barrett. Yeah. And he's an impressive referee. And I just hope that they leave him alone. The coaches aren't good enough for him.
Well, I hope he's strong enough to not chase them away.
I think he's found a level. He's found how to referee a Premier League game or a top FA Cup game. He manages very effectively. He's super fit. Yeah. And he's refereeing really well. That quality of referee needs to be encouraged. He needs to be out every game. He needs to be out in the next round of the FA Cup. This guy needs the encouragement because he is the foundation of the future referees at the Premier League level.
And we'll give another shout out to Michael Salisbury. I thought he had a good game the other night.
Yes, he did. Yeah. His dad, of course, was Graham Salisbury. I think a lot of people would say a journeyman referee, but so reliable. I use the word honest because the players knew what they were going to get from Graham.
Yeah.
He was consistently at a very good standard. And it was a pity that he didn't quite get onto the Premier League because of restriction of numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Time has just flown by again. And I had a couple of other things we were going to talk about, but it was a good discussion. Till next week, Keith, please, if we can do it all again next Monday.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Thanks very much. And thank you out there for watching. Until next Monday, 8 o'clock. Good night and God bless. Thank you.